Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our, I think, somewhat warm afternoon. I haven't been outside since I came to work today. It was a little chilly this morning, but I heard it was supposed to be a high of 60 today. So I guess that's warm for November. I hope you are all doing good today. I'm glad you could join us for our November Lunch and Learn. Today, we are going to have a presentation that Karen is going to be actually presenting for us. I'm going to turn it over to her, but I did want to welcome you all and say thank you for joining us. And as our little November gift, you will be receiving something in the inner office mail. So be on the lookout for that in the next week or so. And now, Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. And you can go ahead. Catherine's going to share the PowerPoint because, as seems to be per the usual, my internet is a little crazy today. So fingers crossed this will solve the issue and I'll be able to get through all of this. All right. So this month we wanted to talk about gratitude, and Lori and I, both of us, it's kind of funny how things work out, because we were talking last week or 2 weeks ago about how, we wanted to integrate thoughts about holiday stress and how people tend to get more stressed. And especially for all of us at the college, we've got the semester wrapping up and all of those things. And so just to illustrate that holiday stress, Lori was at the college last night until I don't know how late, trying to get some of the business baccalaureate stuff done. And I've been playing catch up since I was sick and then out of town. And so this presentation, hopefully you guys will appreciate it. It's something that I've talked about before. I've done presentations on this before, and so has Lori. So she can't be here today, but hopefully I can do this topic justice for you all. All right, so Catherine, if you can go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so I found this little meme, and I think that it just looks about right about holiday stress. And I found a few statistics about holiday stress that I wanted to share. So a 2018 study found that 88% of Americans felt stressed while celebrating the holidays. And which I think is interesting, because that's pretty much everyone, right? The American Psychological Association found that on average, more women than men report feeling stressed around the holidays. More women than men shoulder the responsibility of holiday shopping and planning and report stress from the limited time available to get everything done. Another holiday study conducted by the APA found that some of the leading holiday stressors are lack of time, lack of money, commercialism, pressure of giving or getting gifts, and interestingly, staying on a diet. And 34% of Americans worry that work obligations will disrupt their planned holiday celebrations with friends and family. So there were some other statistics too, and at the end, I've got the link to where I found this information so you guys can read. It's a really good article altogether. But regardless of which holidays you celebrate, if you celebrate holidays, even just the fact that it's the end of the semester can create stress. And when we add all of that together and we look at our students, and we're all here trying to help students be successful, we know that they're experiencing stress. And in particular, many of our students and we have a lot of students who they are food insecure, they are housing insecure, and they have children and families that they can't get to. And so not only are we maybe dealing with our own levels of stress, but our students are also. So I think it's really important for us to be able to handle our own stress, but also to have those strategies so that we are calm and ready to help students to figure out how to move forward when they're in the midst of that also. All right, go ahead to the next one, Catherine. Okay, so there are 5 tips for coping with stress, and I feel like we've covered this topic a lot in different ways over the past year. So maybe some of these things will sound familiar, but I know I can always use a good reminder. So 5 things: avoid negative habits, engage in self-care, understand what triggers your stress, focus on traditions, and have an attitude of gratitude. So we're going to go through all 5 of these things. All right, go ahead to the next one. Okay, so people in the United States are more likely to cope with holiday-induced stress by engaging in sedentary behavior, such as eating comfort foods, watching TV, sleeping, and drinking. Which, I mean, in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with those. But if that's all we do, then that can cause some issues. I don't know about you all, but I stress read, which you would think reading would be a good thing. But no, when you read 6 novels over the weekend because you're so stressed out instead of doing something else, that's not really a positive use of time. Do these things sound familiar to you guys? Do you have different things that you do that maybe aren't? We'll talk about positive things in a minute, but is there anything else? Does anyone want to share any other things that we might engage in to avoid stress? Yes, eating sweets, shopping. Yeah, Amazon is my friend. Or yeah, shopping online, so easy, right? To engage in that for that. Yeah, it's too cold. I was thinking, oh, I need to go walk. And no, it's too cold. I'm just gonna drink hot chocolate instead. Thank you, Lisa. Is it any better at all right now? I'm wondering if it might help if everybody turned off their video. I know that's kind of a bummer, but maybe that would help. Thank you, guys. We'll see if that helps. Sometimes it does. Yeah, I feel like cleaning is a good thing, but I should do that instead of reading. Okay, go ahead and go to the next one, Catherine. Okay, so instead of those negative habits, we want to try to replace those with good habits that are self-care. So you guys mentioned some of those too. So some of the top relaxation techniques that Americans turn to are listening to music, prayer, reading, walking, or exercising for more than 30 minutes, and attending religious services. Yeah, so Linda, you said music. Does anyone else have any other ideas? We've got a good friends meme here to show us one of those. Yep, reading, hiking, that's a great one. Walking. Yeah, we're so lucky to be in Arizona where we have still beautiful weather most of the time even through the winter, so we can get outside and have that time in nature. I think that's really good. Yeah, time with friends. Yeah, anytime we can just get outside, it's a great way to relieve stress. I read a study or heard about a study one time where they looked at the difference between people who had to sit in an office all day, and they found that people who had a view of grass or trees or anything green had less stress than people who had a view of another building or something. And when we were in New York, my husband kept saying, I would have to live in Central Park. I don't think I could live here for very long. It was so much fun, but was so loud and so crazy. It was just like so nice to get into a place that wasn't loud and you could just walk through the trees and things like that. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next thing. Okay, so this is, can you go ahead, can you open that, Catherine? So one of the things that this article gave was this link, and maybe we can put it in the chat too. But it's a little worksheet where you can write down the things that stress you out and kind of pre-plan and create some strategies for dealing with that. So what I want to do is just take a couple of minutes, and if everyone could jot down one or two, that would be awesome. Is it not working, Catherine?
Yeah, I'm having technical issues. Hold on.
Okay. So earlier, one of they listed some of the reasons that people get stressed, whether it's money or the commercialization of the holidays, or there's different things. Sometimes for some people it's dealing with family. I know that particularly for folks who have lost a loved one or had some kind of relationship shift in the last year, the holidays can be extra stressful because of that.
Are you
Okay.
seeing the sheet?
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, so if you guys want to just take maybe 3 minutes and jot down one or two of your own holiday struggles and think of what you might do to solve that. What's a plan of action you can do when you start to face that? So if it's, I don't know, does anyone want to share one? And I'll think of one in the meantime.
I can share one, Karen. It's Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
I think I always want to be the one to buy all the gifts for everyone. And my husband is more than happy to help, but I just have control issues and I love to shop. So if I could just give him half of the names this year, I think that would save me a lot of time, because in the end, by the time I'm done buying for everyone, then I'm really overwhelmed and frustrated and it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I know my mom texted me the other day and she said, "Oh my gosh, it's November and I don't even have any ideas for your kids." Like, oh my gosh, I'm still shopping on Christmas Eve usually because I'm just not that organized. But yeah, thinking in advance, what are those things that we do and how can we solve them? And sometimes it is letting go and letting someone else take on some of that for us. That's a great example. Okay, so everyone take just a minute and write one. And then if you feel comfortable sharing, we'll share a couple more, because I think we probably will find that we all have a lot in common.
No,
Okay, yeah, there are some great examples in the chat. So Tina said, Christmas is always a struggle because she holds off prep until after grades are submitted. And I think, that kind of pressure to get everything done and to make everything beautiful and perfect is hard, especially when Christmas decorations are coming out before Halloween. And, we had brand new Christmas movies in July this year. So that makes it, you just kind of feel like you're behind the curve. And Tiffany, yeah, the political discussion, we have some of that at our house too. No politics. Of course, there's my family that likes to stir the pot, which is fun for me. That's a good one, Suzanne, keeping the house clean. Yeah, because we have that kind of standard of having everything perfect when guests come over. Yeah, Dr. Ryan, anything with family can be really stressful, especially when you have different personalities and trying to get things together and schedule so that you can enjoy that time together. Yeah, Melinda, kind of the same thing. Deciding where to go. Yeah, spending money. Lori, you're here. Hooray. Oh, Lisa, that's a good idea to set a budget and use a Visa cash card. A long time ago, someone told me that it's a good idea to figure out your budget and start in January budgeting. And that was a very long time ago, and I still haven't done that. So I think that figuring out how to do that is a really good way to avoid stress, because then this is how much I have. Yeah, shopping throughout the year. That's the other thing. But my kids, maybe now that they're older, it will be better. But I feel like what they like in January changes so much to what they like in December, that if I got them the thing that they really wanted in June, they wouldn't want it anymore. Yeah, traveling can be really stressful, and taking that time off, because then you feel like you're behind. That's so good. I know in my family, when my kids were little, I did all the baking because I was the only one who wasn't at that time. There were a couple years when they were really small that I wasn't working. I was just helping my husband in his business. And so I did all the holiday baking, and then we moved to Texas. And when we got back, my sister and my mom had started baking, but I always feel like it's still my job. And so, and I feel like I have to give plates to all the neighbors. And then I think, well, how far out should I go with the neighbors? So I've had to really kind of take a step back and say, I can't make everything. So I have a couple of things that I make that no one else likes to make. And that's what I do. And I just, my neighbors that we talk to every day, those are the ones who get Christmas plates. Does anyone else want to share anything else aside from what was in the chat? Yeah, that's a good one, Tina, to shop the sales on Black Friday. All right, Catherine, can you put the PowerPoint back up for me? Okay, so another thing that we can do is create traditions. And so when my kids were little, what I noticed was that this was right about the time we moved to Texas. So I think Megan was 8. So Tristan would have been 6 and Josiah 4 that year. And all they could talk about was Santa and what presents they were going to get. And y'all, it was 2010. There was a reason we moved to Texas. And it wasn't because we had all kinds of money sitting in the bank. So that was very stressful. And what I found was that, after Christmas, it was like, okay, well, there's a big letdown, especially since we were far away from family. So there wasn't another day with grandma and grandpa. We didn't have Christmas Eve with the family. It was just like open presents. All right, now we're done. Take all the decorations down. And so we created some different traditions at that point that we've been following for a long time now, 12 years. So we do an Advent kind of a countdown calendar. So every day we have some kind of activity that we do, whether it's, watching Elf and eating spaghetti and having lots of candy, or going to look at Christmas lights, just bringing a treat to their class at school, just little things like that. So every day it's a surprise. And even my big kids still love that. But that's something that the kids and I look forward to every year too, because it's something that we do together as a family. So that's become a tradition. And the other thing that we did is, a lot of people don't know this, but the 12 days of Christmas start after Christmas. And so we then do 12 days of random acts of Christmas kindness. And so every year I come up with 12 things, and we go out and leave quarters on gumball machines and hide dollars in the dollar store, and just very inexpensive things, leave a treat for the mailman, things like that. And I know not everyone celebrates Christmas, but thinking of those kinds of things that you can make a tradition that don't revolve around the things that are stressful, that revolve around family and time together and the things that we value about this time of year, is one way that we can kind of reduce some of that stress, because we remind ourselves that it's about more than just gifts and decorations and all of those things. So the definition of a tradition is that it's regular, you have a commitment to it, it's predictable, and it's specific to your family. So those traditions can provide a sense of stability, a sense of family history. They provide feelings of roots. They define the boundaries of your family. They keep your generations connected, and they increase family strength and satisfaction. And then I love this quote, that tradition gives us the chance to slow down, appreciate, and express gratitude towards the things in our lives that are not run by technology and busy demands. Lisa, that's a really good point. It is hard to get new traditions sometimes, but there are things that you can do. I know that as my kids get older, even though I have the 6-year-old at home, it's not quite the same. My older boys don't really care about having hot chocolate. It's not as much fun for them. But the things that you can do with your spouse or with your friends, even if it's getting coffee with your friends or going to see the lights or the parade, that could be true. We'll see. Does anyone else have any ideas or any traditions that you do in your family that you want to share?
This is Linda. If you can hear me, I started a new one, and I want to do it every year, but I'm a religious person, but my whole family doesn't follow what I do. And so for the grandkids, we're going to dress them up and read the Christmas story and let them act out the Christmas story.
I love that. That is really cool. How old are your grandkids, Linda?
9, 7, and 6 for the younger ones. I have older, but that's the ones that I want to teach the story this year.
They are going to have so much fun. What a great idea. What else do you all do? New or old traditions?
This is a new tradition for us. My daughter got remarried a year ago, and her husband, it's really a big deal to him to have a baking day in the beginning of December. So they come over to my house, and his mother comes, and we bake all kinds of stuff. And it's real important to him. And whether we just bake or whether we make tamales, it just honors a new member of our family.
I love that, Tina, because it's that extended family and it's something that brings you all together. That is a really good example. Anyone else want to share?
I'll actually share one of my friends who does not have kids and never has had kids. She and some other adults who don't have kids have gotten together to have a cookie day, making cookies one weekend, sometime between now and December for years.
Yeah, I love that.
I've got one.
Go ahead, Lynn.
When my kids became teenagers, was part of the time that I got tired of planning everything all the time. And so we would have a meeting. I'd say, what parts of Thanksgiving are important to you? What are we going to cook? What parts of Christmas are important to you? Which things are we actually going to continue to do? And which things we've just been doing because I wanted to do them. And that way we had a little more buy-in. We had a little more, and then, the plan with Thanksgiving was if you picked it, you got to make it or make something else if mom was the only one that knew how to make that. So that way everyone made something every Thanksgiving and everyone knew they had at least one thing that they liked at both holidays.
That's awesome. I love that idea, Lynn. I'll have to try that. Melinda put matching PJs in the chat. That's a good idea. We try to do that. My husband gets mad every year though. He's like, why are you spending money on pajamas? Well, he can't be the only one that doesn't match, right? All right. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next. Oh, that's a really good one, Suzanne, playing Scrabble by the fire. I love that idea of playing games. That's a really good one. My mom loves puzzles, and so I always get her a Christmas book with a Christmas story, and then we try to get her a new puzzle every year. So it's similar, not quite the same. All right, so the last tip is to just have an attitude of gratitude. So in positive psychology research, gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Diane talked about this a couple of months ago. Maybe it was in the spring, I don't know. So gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. So there's 4 different ideas here for having an attitude of gratitude. We're going to practice one of them here in a minute. So the first one is writing a thank you note. You can make yourself happier and nurture your relationship with another person by writing a thank you letter or even an email expressing your enjoyment and appreciation of that person's impact on your life. You can thank someone mentally. So sometimes it helps just to think about someone who has done something nice for you and mentally thank them. And I don't know if you all have ever heard this, but I was at some conference years ago and they said, it was a marriage kind of a conference. And they said, okay, well, if all day long, your mental conversation is, my spouse isn't doing this and my spouse is doing that, and all you're doing is complaining in your mind all day, you're not going to feel very positively toward that person. But if you turn it around and you find yourself falling into that trap, whether it's a family member or a friend or someone at work, if you turn it around and start thinking about the things that you appreciate about them and the ways that they make your life better, and you start thinking in terms of thankfulness about them, it changes your whole perspective on that person and on your day, because now you have a positive mental talk going on, and it just changes the way you see the world, and then that impacts other people. It has kind of a domino effect on the people around us. So, and over time it becomes a habit. And so it's not just this time of year, but all year round, just thinking positively every time we find ourselves kind of dipping down into that, complaining mentally about someone, just kind of turning that around and thinking about the positives about that person can really help us. And maybe even about situations and things like that too. The third idea is to keep a gratitude journal. This time of year, it's really fun to do that because it's Thanksgiving and you can kind of tie it into that. But if you make it a habit to write down or share with a loved one thoughts about the gifts, not necessarily tangible gifts, you've received each day. So just think about, starting each morning with a grateful heart is a great thing to do. Just waking up and thinking about what you're grateful for. And at the AZ Transfer Summit last year, the person who spoke was talking about the science of happiness. And that was that and meditating for 1 minute a day. Those 2 things were the most powerful predictors of a person's sense of well-being. So just whether you write it down or whether you just start the day thinking about what you're grateful for, that just changes the way that you start your day. And 4 is kind of related. Count your blessings. You can pick a time. If you don't have a time every day, pick a time every week to sit down and write about your blessings. Think about what is going right, what you're thankful for, and just be specific and think about how you felt, and that will come back to you. Writing is really powerful, and I'm not just saying that because I'm an English teacher, but we know that we're just more likely to achieve our goals, for example, if we write them down. So there's something really powerful about writing those things down. There's a kinetic mind connection there because you're writing and thinking at the same time. There's a lot to it that just act of writing something down is really powerful. Oh, thank you, Tina. That's a great recommendation. Okay, so if we'll go ahead and move to the next slide, we're going to actually write a thank you note. So we're going to go through some steps because I hope that you extend this beyond just lunch today. So there's a company that I've been a part of for a long time. I send cards and it's fun, but they have a 30-day gratitude challenge that you can actually do any time of the year. But basically what you do is every day you think of someone you're thankful for and you send them a card and you let them know that you're thankful for them. And if we have time, I'll share a video of the founder of the company kind of talking about it. He was moving with his wife across country, and this story just always gets to me. He saw his favorite brother across the yard, and his brother was working on something, and he just kind of, honked his horn and waved. And a couple weeks later, a month or so later, he got a phone call in the middle of the night that his brother had just had, and he was an electrician, and he touched a wire and fell off a pole and died. And he never got to tell him, I love you, goodbye, any of that stuff. So it wasn't that he did anything wrong, but he kind of missed that opportunity. So that became kind of his life mission, was to help other people to, act on those feelings that we have when we feel like we're thankful for someone, to take that second and write it out and let them know, because you never know when they need to hear that from you. I don't know if any of you have ever been the recipient of a timely note of encouragement, but I know that I have, whether it's through email or someone just telling me in passing. But it seems to me that sometimes those moments of encouragement come at just the right time, and it changes my whole day. And so not only is it good for you because you're focusing on gratitude, but it also is really helpful for the people around you. And if we all practice gratitude and we all start sharing those out, then just think of how much more positive the world around us would be. So I want you to take just like 1 minute and make a list of, 5 people that you're grateful for. Okay, so now pick one person on that list that you want to express appreciation to. So just kind of listen to your gut and choose one person, even if it's hard. So sometimes the person that you need to express appreciation to is maybe someone that you don't necessarily want to. Maybe it's a hard note to write. But my stepdad did this exercise, and he sent a note of appreciation to his brother, who he was kind of estranged from. And from that letter, they reconciled and are now really close. So you never know what the result might be. So I just want to encourage you, if that is you and there's someone on your heart that it feels like, I don't know if I really want to send a note to them. Maybe the reason that they're on your heart is that it's the time to do that. So what I want to do is just give you guys about 5 minutes and just write a short note from your heart. It doesn't have to be long, can be a couple of sentences. Don't overthink it. Just write what's in your heart. This is the thing that I learned from sending cards all these years, is you just write what's in your heart, because that's what the person probably needs to hear. So just take 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, I'm just going to give you 1 more minute. Okay. Does anyone want to share, you don't have to read your note, but does anyone feel like you want to share who you are thankful for? You don't have to.
Karen, I'll share.
Okay, go ahead, Catherine.
My husband has been on a mission to get our house, the inside of our house repainted, because my mom is coming out for Thanksgiving. So he's trying to get it all done before she gets there. And so I just sent him a text message thanking him for making our house, our home, our house a real home before she arrives.
I love that, Catherine. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I saw Lisa in the chat said her husband also, and a colleague. That's awesome. Anyone
I'll
else?
share.
Go ahead, Lori.
So I'll read what I wrote. Gratitude challenge accepted. Karen, thank you so much for all of your hard work and endless positivity. I'm glad to have you as a colleague and a friend. Sorry you lost sleep because of my poor planning.
Oh, thank you.
I do
Lori.
heart you.
I heart you right back. Oh, goodness.
That's really neat. So this is Reka. In one of the earlier slides, Karen, you were talking about how the holidays could be hard if we had lost someone this year. So for me, it's my dad. I lost my dad earlier this year. So I've kind of been dreading this month, especially this month, Thanksgiving, because November happens to be my birthday, wedding anniversary, Thanksgiving. So I was kind of dreading this month. Anyway, going back to, so 2 things. So to combat that, what I've done is I've set up lots of dinner and lunch and breakfast engagements with friends around the time of my birthday to keep myself busy and happy. So that was my solution to that for missing dad. But going back to when he died back in February, and then we had his funeral on March 5th, because March 4th happened to be my father's birthday. And one of AWHE's from school just randomly texted me that day on Friday, just telling me that she was thinking of me and sending me love and prayers. And that just meant so much that someone just reached out and just said, hey, you don't have to respond, just saying I'm thinking of you. So I'm sending her a thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's tough when we lose a parent, for sure.
And the last parent, that's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Does anyone else want to share? Okay. So my challenge to you, if you didn't already, is to send your note today. So you could text like Catherine did. I didn't even think about that, but that's a great one. Sending a text, you can send an email, you can drop a note in the mail, or you could do a high five if it's someone at AWHE, send them a high five, but try to do it today. Don't let it wait, because sometimes we let it go and then we think, do I really want to do that? And we miss a moment, an opportunity to bless someone else. And I'm so thankful that you shared your story, Sarika, because I think that's exactly the point, is sometimes that text on the fly or that moment just makes such a huge difference in our lives. And then the challenge then is to make it a habit. So maybe try this every day, or maybe once a week, or whatever feels doable to you. I think you kind of, it becomes a little bit addicting. And I know that when I fall out of the habit, which I have done over the past year because I just have been so busy, it's kind of feels like a loss. So there's definitely a difference when you know that you are sending out that kindness out into the world, and it does come back to you, which is pretty amazing. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. I think that was the last. Okay, here's quote that Lori found. An attitude of gratitude means making the conscious habit of expressing appreciation on a regular basis for big and small things alike. And I love that. All right. Well, does anyone have anything else they would like to add? There are the websites, and I don't know, Catherine, if you want to copy and paste them into the chat, if you can do that. So the Everlywell one has a lot of the stats and some great strategies like that. Stress management, the trigger worksheet was on there. And the other one just has some other statistics about gratitude and how it helps us. So, okay, so we have a couple of announcements. One of them is that, in case you hadn't heard, we do have some scholarships available for attending the AWHE conference in April. And the application closed on October 31st, but we're going to open it up after the meeting is over for the rest of the day today. So if you could use a scholarship to help you attend the AWHE conference in person or virtually, whatever works for you, please go to the AWHE SharePoint page and fill out that application. It's really quick and easy. It's just an online form. And then we'll be able to look, and hopefully we'll be able to help a lot of folks get to the conference who maybe couldn't otherwise. So if you don't have funding in your department or professional development funds available to you, please do apply. Lori or Catherine, could you guys post the link to the SharePoint in the chat for people? So that is one of the announcements. So I'll open that up as soon as we wrap up here. And the other one is, in case you hadn't heard, we are, thanks to Dr. Ryan, officially an AWHE chapter. We are the very first AWHE chapter ever. So that is pretty exciting. And if you have come to any of our AWHE meetings, or if you attended the conference last year or registered as a member on the awhe.org site, you have been tagged as a YC chapter member. So if you go to the awhe.org website and go over to the Get Involved tab, there's a place where you can sign in. And if you sign in, then it's an additional $58 off. So right now, the conference, the in-person is $349, but right now it's $299 because we have an early bird deal going on. And then as a chapter member, you save another $58. So that brings it down to just $241. So it's like $100 off altogether if you get your ticket now. So it's a really good idea if you plan to go ahead and go in there and do that. And the conference is going to be at the Weekapaw Resort down in Scottsdale. It's kind of more in Fountain Hills, but it is beautiful. And in April, it's going to be gorgeous. And we have an option on the scholarship form if you're thinking that you might want to go in person, but you want to share a room. You can mark that and we'll try to pair you up with a roommate. We maybe can travel. A lot of us can travel together so we can save some costs on money. And that conference registration does include, so it's Wednesday night, all day Thursday, and half day Friday. And the registration includes breakfast Thursday and Friday, and lunch Thursday and Friday. And it also includes a networking reception on Thursday night. So there'll be appetizers, probably not enough to fill you up unless you're a light eater for dinner, but there's a lot of value packed into that $241 for our chapter members. So if you get a chance and you can do so, make sure you register for the conference and reserve your hotel room. You shouldn't have to pay in advance, but the link to register is on the awhe.org site, and there's a link to the discounted rooms for Weekapaw. I think that's everything. Lori, when is our next, or Catherine, when is our next AWHE luncheon? I think we're skipping December. Is it in February?
I believe it is February.
Yeah, February.
Okay, so we will.
The website says there's one January 10th.
I don't think so, because school doesn't start till after that, right?
Yeah, we might have.
Oh, yes, actually, we do have it on our calendar for January 10th.
Okay, so we will update if we need to, because Lori's kind of in charge of the programming a little bit. And so if we need to update and cancel the January 10th, we'll make sure we update it on the SharePoint page. And while I'm on that topic, if any of you would love to be a part of the YC AWHE team, especially now that we're officially a chapter, please reach out to Lori or I or Catherine, and we will get you connected, because lots of hands make light work, right? So we would love to have more people kind of join this little team and be involved in putting together these lunch and learns every month and getting everything organized and together.
Karen, this is Rika. Oh, I opened the SharePoint that was posted. I don't see the scholarship application.
So it might be missing because I need to, as soon as the meeting is over, I'll open it back up again. So it might have gone away just because it's not open for comments.
Okay.
So let me see if I can do that. And if it's not there, then I'll make sure it is there. But I'm pretty sure the reason it's not showing up is because it closed on the 31st, but I'm going to open it back up until the end of the day today.
Thank you.
And where will it show up on that page?
So it will be under the headings. I think it's on the right-hand side as you scroll down.
Yeah, right now I think it's just there's a big white square with a mailbox that says this form is currently not accepting responses. I'm thinking that's where it is.
Yes, that is where it will be.
Okay.
Thank you.
If we're done with that, I have a quick announcement as a follow-up to our Dressing for Success on a Budget from last month. So I went out a couple weeks ago, and there's a consignment store in Prescott Valley. Some of you may know it. It's called Smart Girls, and I'd never been there. And so I went in, and it's a really nice little consignment shop. Very nice, well-kept clothes. And the reason, and I bought a lot of stuff, but I wanted to tell you because all their price tags, they put them on, and then the first 2 weeks, if the item hasn't sold, they discount it 66%. And then the next 2 weeks, if it still hasn't sold, they discount it another 50%. So, and I bought a Ralph Lauren sweater that still had the original tag on it for $110, and I got it in its last discount, so I got it around $20. And then also they have when you're in the store, if you tag them in your Facebook or do a location, whatever, post a picture, you get 10% off your entire purchase. And then the last thing I wanted to tell you they have a personal shopping and style package you can buy for $25, which I know some people had said they don't know how to mix and match things. And so for $25, you get an hour with their a stylist. And before you go, you fill out a short online questionnaire so that they can have pieces pulled out for you and ready to go. And you can even bring some of your own pieces to help mix and match. And then you get 10% off your entire order that day. And anyway, they said that makes a nice Christmas gift because it's $25 for the styling package. So I was really impressed. That's all.
I did something and it made it play back. Okay, well, does anyone else have anything that they want to share before we sign off? Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see you after the holidays. Well, in AWHE anyways. Hopefully we'll see you before then.
Thank you. This is great.
Thanks so much, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Stay warm.